thanks for being here, everybody. Coaches, for questions for Coach. We'll start with Brian.
Joe, I've noticed you've been wearing, is it like a weighted backpack?
Oh man, yes. It's I'm on this health journey and trying to find a way to get kickstart the cardio a little bit. So you gotta be a little 35-pounder out there. So it's been good.
Does that also look as something that you can use to point to your players that you got to work on your health and all that? Or?
You know, shoot, man, that's the beauty of this whole thing, right? When you hang up the cleats, you got a choice. You either go stale and non-active, or in our business now here as coaches, man, you can't preach to the guys about getting done and you're not getting done yourself. So it's just a twofold, but it's more of a personal health opportunity.
Justin.
In a little bit, we're going to talk to Prince Williams. You've recruited him, you've developed him over the last several months. What's it been like just having him here, and what's next for him?
Man, I think there comes along a certain type of talent and an athlete, and he has those qualities and redeeming qualities. And obviously, Prince just got here, and he's trying to work hard and earn his way into this room. And so the positive thing is he's all in, and he just wants to improve. He wants to be coached, and he's a great teammate. That's one of the things that I'm really impressed with Prince. But if there's one person that you want to take to the back alley, Prince obviously is the guy that you can go ahead and take it, because he's all in and he's committed to the work and the process.
And then working with Trey Smith and some of the other veterans, how have they gone about setting the tone for a guy like him and bringing him along?
And, it starts there with Trey. You know, in the world of portal and whatnot, man, you're really wanting to protect your culture and how you do things. And to have Trey as the elder part of the group, and he sets the tone. And so it makes it easy for guys like Mace and Dom and Leroy, and now obviously we got EC and Prince and a bunch of the other guys. I think it starts there. And it has an impact, a big impact, because Trey is one of those workaholic type of person, and it fits. It's in alignment with the pedigree and the character of Prince. And so he's been a mentor to all those young guys, but to the entire group and the program. So, you know, you're want to recruit those type of pedigree through this whole new landscape of portal. It is the only way you're able to keep the continuity in the culture and what we do here at Redline.
Coach, the last 2 days you guys have run against the offensive lines, defensive lines in the individual periods. So what are you seeing from your defensive line in those drills, and what are you asking them to kind of do to be effective?
I think the biggest thing that we would keep talking about is the fundamentals. Can we be sound in our hand placement, our eyes and hats? And then the physicality piece, that's the biggest thing, you know, in camp. You want to see the relentless effort. And obviously you got to train to that. But there's a precedence of how to play this game in the line of scrimmage. When you put on the film, are guys utilizing hands, or we're avoiding contact, or we're all over the place. So those are the things that we're always constantly grading, is our effort, but also our physicality at the point of attack. We have to address the point of attack a certain way, and that's displacing the offensive lineman with tight hands and extension with velocity. And so we do a lot of individual drills to address those, and it just becomes a repetition type thing. We need repetition after repetition, and then doing it at a high volume and a high speed. Sometimes you have to scale back, because not everybody that's in the room is further along in that way. But, you know, like any defensive lineman coach, you know, you would like to have your guys play with a sustained technique and fundamentals throughout your day. You can't be fresh in the front of the practice where everything is clean, and then all of a sudden at the end you're sloppy. And so those things, we're constantly grading those, and credit to the guys, man. They're really trying to buy into that, and there's no other way. If you're going to play for the University of Arizona's defense, you're going to learn how to strike, you're going to learn how to extend, you're going to tear off, pursue, and tackle. I think those, from the beginning to the end of time, they will never change. That's the line play. And it is a defensive line's responsibility, all right, to teach and talk those things through and then just hone in on those things. And we're not trying to recreate the wheel. All we're trying to do is trying to see if we can grease that thing and freaking make it spin a little faster. And it starts by resetting the line of scrimmage, setting hard edges, tear it off and go and see if we can have 11 hats on the ball. And I think the last couple of days has really been great, man, just having the pads on. Now you can see guys cutting it loose a little bit. But we're continuing to cut our teeth in making sure that we don't get away from the fundamentals. It just starts there. Your effort, going 100 miles an hour, 100 miles of time, and then our physicality. Can we reset the line of scrimmage? And those are the biggest thing, because our number one goal is to stop the run. We got to earn the right to rush the passer, but we got to stop the run, and we have a opportunity to continue to make progress in that. But man, the guys it's good to have some of the guys coming back, working back from their ailments. Big Zach being back out there, but Trey, Dom, man, it's good to see those guys fight to implement the teaching and things that we're working on a daily basis.
Justin and then Jason.
What are your impressions of Kevin Moore so far? And I think maybe the only junior college guys you have on the roster are all defensive linemen. What is it about those guys? And what's just kind of the method to the madness of getting those JUCO guys?
One, he's got to fit what we do, right? Our system is slightly a little different from everybody else, but Kevin has a unique ability to get vertical, and he's a big size man, and the good thing about it, he's still ways away from a finished product, but his length, his athleticism, his short area quickness, and his ability to bend and change the direction in the instant, it's one of the things that we saw on film. And you take a guy like Deshaun McKnight, well, he's probably 2 inches taller than Deshaun with those kind of abilities. So now we're just focusing on the day-to-day drills to try to bring along his fundamentals, hand placement, using hands, and then working on his leverage at the point of attack. But he's a one that has to work on his conditioning level. All the guys do, but that was one of the things that he's finding now, that if you're going to play for this outfit at the University of Arizona, you're going to have to get your conditioning level to a point where you're able to compete for playing time. But man, to his credit, he's coming along, man. It's frustrating because he's raw, and we're really putting emphasis on just basic fundamentals. My hands extension, not pulling my elbows back. We're coming out of our hips, and the good thing about it, he fits what we do. We're aggressive. We get around the edge and get vertical, and that's where his I think his wheelhouse is as far as component with our group here. So, but he is the only JUCO college guy, and it's just got to be a fit. It's got to be a great fit, and he is a good fit for us.
Like Salave'a and Ezra Funa, and there's been some other guys in recent years that are JUCO guys. What is it about D linemen at the junior college level that makes it easier for them?
Well, it's a line of scrimmage game, and you need certain type of body types. There's a certain I can't have a guy that comes in my room and I'm the bigger guy in the room. And so unfortunately, that is the barometer. If I walk in and I meet a young man that's a D lineman, but he's twice as small as me, it's probably not going to work unless he's just got tremendous power and whatnot. It's still, this game is about big people beat up little people. And then when you look out there and you see Keatron, Harris, Zach, and Kev, that is decent size. And so now you're looking at the other traits. Can they change the direction? Are they light on their feet? Are they heavy-footed? Can they learn? Do they have the mental capacity to retain and regurgitate back the information? All those things, vital traits that you're looking at, because you cannot just get a big man that cannot move and that cannot learn. This is not a daycare, and I share that with our guys. We have to make sure that through our evaluation process that those big guys, again, fit what we do. We're not a sit at the line of scrimmage, catch blocks. We're on our toes, and we're rolling. And those guys, Big Zach, Kev, and Keatron, it's fun to see those guys in there at the same time. And so, it's just a matter of what is your philosophy? How does each pieces fit? And I think for us, evaluation, we're constantly conversing about that. Can he do the things that we're asking him to do? Can he be consistent with it? And can he play 100 miles an hour? If you do that, you have a shot. But again, I'm the D-line coach. I think I lost about 5 pounds. So maybe a young man from high school will have a shot, but I can't be the bigger dude in the room. We're still going to we need mass, length, and guys, because that's how this game is played. And in the Big 12 or going against any other outfit, we got to make sure that we have enough, the length and the girth to be able to do what we do. And so I'm never going to deviate from that, man. We're going to get big, and we're going to get athleticism, and we're going to be able to get guys that can learn. We got to get the guys with the football intelligence and awareness, because if you don't have those length and mass, then you got to present some sort of quality, redeeming quality. So,
Jason and David?
You had mentioned in the spring that Dominic Alessio was one of the more improved guys. How has he progressed, and where is he now in camp?
Man, just look at his size. He's starting to develop a thicker lowers, and it's evident in the weight room because his numbers are going up from the lifts and whatnot. But he's always the thing about Alessio. He's a most critical guy of himself, and you like that spirit, because he's always hungry. He wants to be coached. He wants to be pushed. But I think it's more now technical stuff, the detail piece of his development. Can he learn how to maintain his balance through the point of attack? And then can he work through his leverage without constantly getting out leverage and bringing his feet? So those things, we address those with the explosive movement that we do in our practices and our drills. Those are the things. But as far as the care factor, he's all in, and I'm excited. I'm looking forward to him taking that next step, because like anything else, you gotta look different from day one to year 1 to year 2. He's one of the guys that I've always thought that he was still a years away from last year, and he did a 180, committed to the nutrition, committed to everything, and changed his body. And so I'm excited to look forward to see him utilize that going forward.
Our last two will be David and then Justin.
Coach, you mentioned Keatron Harris and Kaisi. Lafitaka is also a young man who's stood out the last couple of days, both true freshmen. What are you seeing in them that really excites you about their potential down the line?
I think those guys here, because they're open to being pushed, they're open to being coached. And those guys have the spirit to compete. And I think competition's elevated when you bring those type of players into the room. You can't have a room where it's half okay and not so much. Those young guys, those young men, him, Prince, Keatron, those guys are given opportunity now. And the way this practice is structured, they're getting their fair share of reps. And those reps are really now starting to look a certain way. And you get to that point where now you're just hoping and pushing these guys to where they can still be vulnerable enough to be pushed. And that's what those guys is. That's the biggest difference I see now, because Keatron, Kaisi, those guys are wanting to be pushed. But also you want to be specific in how you're addressing those guys, because those guys have different needs, different strengths. The common theme about it is because they see Trey going 100 miles an hour. Well, shoot, I got to go 100 miles an hour. So I think it's good to have in your room that type of example. And so we got to continue to push those guys, because they're going to have to. Everybody with the new 5-for-5 rule, everybody's got to be all in to contribute in some way, form, or fashion. And it is, our duty to coach and get these guys ready, prepared, whether they're still 16, 17-year-old or an older guy that's been in the building for a couple of years. And I think Keatron and Kaisi and those guys, they're going to continue to be pushed. And I told those guys, if they want to play here for us, for me, be open to and be prepared to be pushed. And you're going to be pushed, because I think the development piece, the way the game is played now, we don't have the time to wait. But I still believe that there's a lot of high school players that have those potential. And it's your job as a coach to lay that development plan out clearly, so that they can understand why they're coming here to play ball here at Tucson University, Arizona. And it's just an awesome thing to have those young guys elevate the room, elevate the competition. And now I think we're getting to the point where let's see if they can really push the older guys even more, all right, to earn more reps from what they're doing here. And I think that's where it's headed.
we'll finish up adjusting.
What was it like playing tug of war with Oglesby with Lafitaga? Because I think he was maybe thinking about being an O lineman. So what were those conversations like, and why do you think he's better suited to play on the D line?
You know, I've been fortunate to be in the conversation in recruiting the likes of Panay Sewell, Francis, Mowingoa. I mean, the list goes on. That young man has all those qualities, and he has the ability to play both sides of the ball. I just feel like, and sometimes young men don't see it for themselves, but I've been blessed to coach some of the guys that were on the offensive side and then ended up not just playing well in college, but some of those guys played in the league. Some of them are still now playing there. Kaisi's one of those athletes. His ceiling is so high right now, he doesn't even know. He hadn't even begun to understand that. But the good thing about it, I think it's more of a need. Obviously I owe Coach Josh a couple Snickers bar and some power bars for letting Kaisi be in our room, but there's no way. I mean, we got to change the line of scrimmage, and his value for us and for this team is on the defensive side, and so he's right where he needs to be, and we're going to continue to recruit those type of players because Kaisi, probably people don't know about him because hardly anybody goes down there to recruit, Samoa. But for this game, it's not hard. If you're really in tune with what you're looking for in development, there's a lot of young men that are like Kaisi that are just out there. You're just going to have to be diligent in your recruiting process, and you got to go out there and you look for those qualities. The best thing about that young man, he wants to get better, but he's learning. He hasn't played defensive line since forever, and so to see him grow and having Trey Smith, Mace, all the older guys there, working with him and bringing him along, you're starting to see his confidence build up, and so I think we're on the brink of seeing some of these young guys contribute to us, and they're not satisfied, and that's probably the beauty of this whole thing. They don't want to be satisfied just to be playing. They want to be able to contribute and dominate, and that is the goal. That is the one goal that we're talking about as a defensive line. We got to make a statement every day. And it starts with the way we approach meetings. Those guys that know hard, they come into meetings, they got their pen and paper, they're writing notes. Kaisi's coming in for extra. All those guys are doing the extra, right? And so, again, a lot of young men wants to be recruited, but you have to look through the lenses of what they are because, again, it's about doing the extra, the in-between, the unrequired. Do they fit the red line that we're talking about here at the University of Arizona? There's a reason why there's a lot of young men in the portal, right? Because they've been led astray by the adults. They're looking at all these other things. University of Arizona, you want to be developed, you want to play good ball and be transformed, this is the place. If you're a D lineman and you want to be pushed, you come here to Arizona because we're going to get done what we need to get done in the room, and those guys are going to be great examples of what it means to be pushed, to be developed, and also they're responsible for their development, And so I'm just fired up for where we're at right now, and those guys know that it's never enough. They got to give more of themselves, but they're starting to mesh as a group there, and it's good to have everybody in there contributing, especially the young cats that just joined us in January.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Joe.